It's time to laugh, to win, and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment.
Unbelievable!
This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Let's roll, baby. Let's get it. It is You Better You Bet on a Tuesday. John Jastremski in for my main man, Nick Kostos. Love Nick Kostos. So I need to make sure that this seat is nice and warm for our guy when he returns for, I believe, the start of football season. Maybe it's next week. I can't keep tabs on the busiest man in showbiz, but I try to give him a run for his money. We got a lot cooking over the next 3 hours. We will set the stage for what is going to happen over the final month and change in Major League Baseball. And, the last time I did this show, I gave the listening audience and the viewing audience 3 teams I was buying and 3 teams I was selling for the 2026 NFL season. And I do have to admit that some of those teams I feel that much more passionate about. I am that much more locked in on the idea that they're going to have monstrous seasons or incredibly disappointing seasons. But to show you that I could give you a little Rocky Balboa, if I can change, you could change. Anybody could change. There might be 1 or 2 of them that might be getting X'd off the list because as we've moved closer and closer to the season, it is very much okay for me to say, you know what, I've had a little bit of cold feet. I've had a little bit of a change of heart. And information and injuries and everything that comes with it has kind of maybe swayed my opinion in a different way. And that's why we have July NFL thoughts. It's why we have August NFL thoughts. And then we lock in those preseason picks. But at least 1 or 2 of them are going to be absolute duds. Like, I can give you a preseason pick that a year ago I felt amazing about and ended up coming home to roost. The Jets being an under, despite the fact that people were talking up Aaron Glenn and talking up Justin Fields. And I was proclaiming all year they're going to stink. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And when they start the year 0-7, John Jastremski feels like an absolute genius. But to show you that we are fair and balanced, to show you that we are transparent around here, I also was the same knucklehead that's running around all summer long talking up, that's right, the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray is over and is a playoff team. And that was like one of my plant the flag takes in the NFL season. And it was like, 5 or 6 weeks into the year, that's going to be a dumb one. That's going to be one that, dare I say, I'd like to have back. So I'm sure there will be plenty of that. And we'll officially lock in a bunch of NFL bets that we can send you on your way with as we close out August and we find ourselves closer and closer to week 0 in college football, which comes up this weekend. Then you have the real opening of college football, which, by the way, there are a lot of elements in sports that have changed for the better. There are elements of sports that have changed for the worse. And I'm sorry, I'm never going to get me on board with week 0. I know people can say, oh, it's football. You got football back. It's a week early. It's like a little hors d'oeuvre. No. I want college football starting the Thursday of Labor Day weekend. That's what I want it starting. I don't need this week before nonsense where all of a sudden my brain's got to be all wackadoo. But that's the way it is. That's one of those changes in sports that I don't particularly love. Change in sports I do love is the idea that I'm going to have NFL football on Wednesday, Thursday, and then a full slate on Sunday and Monday, whenever that gets going. We'll have a bunch of predictions for you. Now, this is where I want to start the show. And unless you've been living under a rock over the last couple of days, you now are aware of the fact that Deshaun Watson, who signed the worst contract in the history of the NFL, who has basically turned into the definition of an absolute pariah on and off the football field, and the biggest headache and the biggest just nightmare for the Cleveland Browns is going to be at quarterback week 1 when the Browns go and take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. If what I heard from Deshaun Watson over the weekend, it is so abundantly clear, it is so painfully obvious, he doesn't get it. And I am not going to relitigate all of his legal troubles and his despicable behavior and everything that comes with it from his departure with the Houston Texans. I am looking at this simply from a Cleveland Brown football perspective and how fans, despite what Deshaun Watson may think, their hatred, their anger, their vitriol is all due to the fact that he can't play anymore. And that's where Deshaun Watson absolutely loses me and should lose all of you and just shows you point blank, he's living under a rock. He clearly has hurt feelings for getting carted off that field and having people within that crowd cheering him a couple of years ago when he went down with the Achilles injury. I could get how that could stay with you, but I also would be aware, hey, I signed one of the richest contracts in NFL history. The team gave up multiple first-round picks to go and get me. I'm supposed to be the man. I'm supposed to be a guy that, hey, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right? Like when you give up that sort of asking price, that's the expectation. It's why Cleveland can't simply cut Deshaun Watson right now because the contract is so outrageous. They can't cut him. For a lot of people, after what they heard on Saturday, after what they've seen in the preseason games, after what they've watched on the field or haven't watched on the field, the obvious would be, oh, just dispose of Deshaun Watson and put an end to it. Cleveland would find themselves in worse salary cap hell if they did that. But let's be real about something. Whenever the Browns return home, if they go and lose their first 2 games of the year, what Brown fan on planet Earth is going to be like shooting for the stars, jumping for the moon that Deshaun Watson started week 3? Not that Shedeur Sanders necessarily is going to be like some super appealing, super juicy, super entertaining option, but he's not Deshaun Watson. So to me, it's simple if you're the Cleveland Browns. You want to announce he's the starter in week 1? Okay, you're on the road, great. You want to play him in week 1? You want to play him in week 2? Go and lose those games and then just watch him play poorly and put him on the inactive list. That's what I would prefer to see if I rooted for the team. Now, if I rooted for the team, I think I'd want him on the inactive list, period. Like, just dress him as the emergency third quarterback and get him out of my life. I don't want to see him in uniform. I don't want to see him holding a helmet because of everything he symbolizes. Yet, you're going to see him in week 1. And the shame of all of this from a Cleveland perspective, they actually have some interesting elements of the team going into this season. They do. They actually have some interesting elements. Drafting the 2 receivers, Denzel Boston, Concepcion. A defense that, yes, lost Myles Garrett, but swaps him with Jared Verse, played really well in home games last year. Then you're at the point of the year where unless you're like 2 teams, the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins, and both of those teams, maybe for varying degrees, can even sell optimism on Malik Willis front or, some of the playmakers they have in Arizona. Like, I know I'm grasping at straws, but you get my point. Everybody is looking to sell optimism on August the 25th. Everybody's in the optimism business. Cleveland, if they had a quarterback that was like easy to root for, and I think it's fair to say that Shedeur Sanders is much easier to root for than Deshaun Watson, you could like talk yourself into, hey, we're better a playmaker. We got a new head coach. Who knows what that brings? We still think our defense can be pretty good. We've had success playing within the AFC North, especially playing games at home. Maybe we could go and exceed expectations. But when you have that like hovering black cloud of Watson surrounding your whole franchise, and then you find out he's got to go and start in week 1, doesn't exactly do that. Doesn't. And quarterback, unfortunately, matters in the NFL. It's the most important position in professional sports. And a lot of smart people in my life wanted to convince me, JJ, think you should go and bet the Browns over for the start of the season. Go get them at 5.5. They'll win a couple of home games. They're gonna get last place schedule. Go take advantage of that. Then I stare at the quarterback room. I'm gonna keep staring at the quarterback room. How can I do that? And the answer to that question is I can't. Now, when I look at that division, as I have the graphic right in front of me, Baltimore Ravens are even money to go and win the division. Cincinnati's at plus 175. The Steelers are at plus 550. I love the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Famous last words. Because I am well aware of the fact that they are like the trendy, obvious team that everybody, it seems like this time of year, wants to hop on. The defense is much better. Imawari, Dexter Lawrence, it's much better than what it was a year ago. And I know there are major questions about the health, the status, the durability of Joe Burrow. Turf toe is no joke. Listen, I didn't have it surgically repaired like Joe did, but I crashed into a wall playing softball about 7 weeks ago and banged it up, and I got diagnosed with it. I will never, I promise, I vow, John Jastremski will never, ever, ever critique an athlete for having turf toe ever, ever again after I was hobbling around my neighborhood for the better part of a month. And finally now I'm at a point where I can go and play golf. I'm waiting to get back and run, the whole deal. So I get how Joe Burrow missed multiple months, and yeah, that's a part of his sort of resume as an NFL quarterback. When he plays, the team is good. Right? When Joe Burrow plays north of 15 games, the Cincinnati Bengals are a really good team. Are they good enough to go and win this division? Not willing to go that far. But I am willing to say if they get into the postseason, they're the team. If you're Buffalo, if you're Kansas City, if you're Baltimore, there's no fear factor from that quarterback. Like Burrow's gone into Arrowhead down 18 points, second half, won a game, beating Mahomes. How many other quarterbacks have gone to Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game? Good luck finding one. You can't. Burrow went into Buffalo a few years ago and smoked Josh Allen's team. Torched them. So the two quarterbacks that kind of have this cloud as the guys, Allen, Mahomes. They're the guys. Right? They're the guys. He's beat them both. Therefore, I see Joe Burrow coming into my building in January. It's not giving me a feeling of comfort. Where if there are other questions about, Herbert and the Chargers who have never won a playoff game, I love the Texan defense. Love it. Best unit to me in the NFL on that side of the ball. There's the CJ Stroud questions. Like all of these other teams could come into your building where it's like, maybe. Not worried about this. They got demons that they got to overcome. Cincinnati, the key is just getting into the dance. Because if they get into the dance, they're going to be frisky. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be heard from. And I, for one, am willing to bet on that. I bet on Cincinnati for their over as far as wins are concerned. I had bet on Cincinnati as far as winning the AFC. And yeah, I may have dabbled on betting Cincinnati to go and win the Super Bowl because markets matter and numbers matter. And I like that angle. So as we dive into a bunch of predictions for this 2026 season, which we're going to do over the next 3 hours here on You Better You Bet. Remember, having a quarterback that you feel good about come January matters. Now, some are going to say, hey, JJ, hold on a second. Did you feel good about Sam Darnold last year? I did not. And did Sam Darnold shut me up? He sure did. But having that perfect storm and that perfect team around you, Seattle had that going for them. They also had an insane health going for them. And it requires a couple of breaks too. Winning a Thursday night game when you're down by 13 plus points. getting the bounce of the ball that go your way in that NFC Championship game. Well, yes, I bet the Los Angeles Rams, but yes, I can also acknowledge the fact that the Rams were not the better team in the game. Seattle was the better team in the game. They outplayed the Rams in that game. But that's the perfect storm of building a championship team in 2026. It's like, hey, have the quarterback who's an assassin who could go and carry you. Or having this like well-oiled machine where everything flows beautifully, bing, bang, boom. And the quarterback doesn't go and screw it up. That's what they're banking for down in Houston. But I know this, Cleveland, they don't have the perfect team around their quarterback. And their quarterback situation, it's got to be the worst in the league, right? Is there a quarterback situation around football that you'd rather have least than what we see in Cleveland? Sorry, Browns fans. Deshaun Watson doesn't get it. He never will. And when we have that all-time worst contract in sports discussion, it can be very easy to put him there. Got a lot cooking this edition of You Better You Bet. We'll revisit 3 takes that I gave you of teams I like and teams I didn't like that I was buying, selling, and see where I stand on that litmus test. We'll dive into that. And here we go again. Deja vu for a team in the AFC West. Football takes. Look ahead to what will be a final busy 7 weeks in the Major League Baseball season. More glass half full, glass half empty on the Dodgers with the way they've looked over the last few weeks. Dive into that. John Jastremski in for Nick right here. Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, we're back. John Jastremski in for Nick Kostos. It's You Better You Bet, presented by our friends over at BetMGM, right here on the Westwood One Sports. Folks, this segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. You know, I see a lot of people getting ready for the fantasy drafts, and I'm in this mode. I have one coming up on Wednesday. It's an auction league. I can't stand it. I know a lot of the fantasy folks who are like serious about this, and I feel like I've gotten less and less serious about fantasy football over the years. And I think what ends up happening is the gambling world has just become so insane where my priority on Sunday, it's like, and this year is going to be different because my team is going to be so pathetic that like they're so far down the list where it's like, all right, the season is over before it's even begun. And yes, I root for the Miami Dolphins. So you understand where I'm coming from as far as that goes. That's usually like, okay, how are the Dolphins going to do? You can cross that off the list. That's not going to cause me a lot of grief. It's not going to cause me a lot of agita on Sundays, whatever. Okay, so that's done. Then I work in New York, my New York shows, my podcast, television that I do at SNY. So obviously the Giant games and the Jet games take on serious responsibility from like a work perspective. Okay. Then you get to the games that I bet on. When you're doing betting content, you care about being right. Then you throw in the fact that I'm in this circuit contest every year, which, by the way, has been an absolute donation over the last few years. I do split it with a buddy, which makes it that much more fun. We can yell and scream. We curse at one another. We can't agree usually on the 5 games, and then we end up taking games that we're kind of lukewarm on, and we hope we're right. Sometimes we're wrong. There you go. But then there's that. Like, how are those games going? So, like, when you get through the, like, laundry list, oh, did I even mention, like, okay, it's a juicy 425 game. It's Buffalo, Kansas City. It's Chicago, Green Bay. It's like the games that everybody wants to watch. And that ends up being on your priorities list. Then, like, I don't even care during the my team is set. Check during the week. Check again on Sunday with injuries and whatnot. 1 o'clock games come and go. I'm not checking the fantasy app for 1 second. You guys can mock me for this. You can make fun of me for this, but it's a reality. I just don't. There's too much going on. When we get into the window of games where there's like 4 or 5 games, for those of you on the East Coast, it's the late afternoon. For those of you on the West Coast, it's the early afternoon. But you get where I'm going. That's when, like, okay, I might be on the couch, pull up the app, see what's going on, see what's taking shape. All right. Now I can check fantasy football. But until I hit like the end of the regular season or the postseason for that matter, it's down the list. So I'm at a point now with the league that I've run basically since I was a little kid. I mean, going back to my high school days. That is a league that I will never, ever quit because I've done it every single year. It's like the league I will be in until I drop dead. That's it. Like, that's going to be my league. It's my baby. I'm in it. Whether my passion is what it was when it first started in 2003 is besides the point. But what I am trying to figure out, and maybe I'll come to some sort of conclusion with this as I get ready for a couple of these drafts. One, the auction, which I hate. I know the fantasy people tell you, oh, it's the best. It's really it's the thinking mind. No, it takes 3.5 hours. I don't have time for that crap. Thank you, Bill Zimmerman. I hate the auction drafts. I hate them. Like, this draft starts at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. I have to be on television after the Met game. The draft will be fortunate to be halfway over by the time I'm getting on set, looking pretty, smiling for the camera. Oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers is available. You want it for $2. Like, come on, let's get this moving. Let's get it moving. I don't have all day. But my league on a Sunday, coming up this week, which is your traditional redraft, snake draft, 14 teams, which requires a little bit more precision on your drafting. A little bit more precision. in order to get everybody's energy levels up, to get the you-know-what talking up, I'm finding a cool cameo for somebody to do my draft order. It can't be me. I'm sorry. I've done a few, believe it or not. I appreciate the fact that people want me to do their draft order, which is great. I'm happy to do it, but I need somebody really cool to do it, so I'm going to work on that. Maybe it's on Cameo, maybe it's through the text Rolodex, and we go from there. But I need a really good last place punishment, and I need some suggestions on who should be our cameo between now and the end of this show. So I will work on this. So this is the stage of my life where I am now the old guy trying to rekindle the lost love that I once had for fantasy football. So we got to work on that. I'll tell you what the Los Angeles Chargers need to work on. How do they keep their offensive line upright and healthy? They already lose a center for the year. How are you not, if you're Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, sitting there saying to yourself, holy smokes, here we go again? And I understand it's not Joe Alt, who's your best offensive lineman. Your second best offensive lineman is beat up already in Rashawn Slater. You need these guys to play. Listen, I consider myself a card-carrying member of the Justin Herbert is not the chosen one camp. I know the nerds love him. I know he can make every throw on the field. I know he can run and he throws a pretty ball and he's mobile and he's built like an Adonis. All true. No arguments. He's been in the league now for what? Almost 7 years? Let's count it. 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. This is going to be his 7th year in the league. Has not won a playoff game. To take it a step further, he has absolutely wet the bed in every playoff game he's played. See, that's the difference between, and I see the guys all on board with the Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert comp. Herbert's played on better teams than Stafford. I know he had Calvin Johnson. The Lions were one of the worst teams in the history of the NFL for a long, long time. Had a playoff drought as far as wins are concerned that lasted, almost 2.5 decades? Herbert's played on some better teams. And now he has a tremendous head coach each of the last 2 years who, to his credit, has built a better team around him. But I'm tired of the January diatribes that seem to happen every year. I think we can all acknowledge Justin Herbert is going to ball out in the regular season, even with losing his center. You want to know why he's going to ball out? Because Jim Harbaugh wins regular season games. And now Mike McDaniel comes in, the gold watch, the rolled up pants, the Versace, the cool glasses, and is going to be the best offensive coordinator Justin Herbert has ever had. I am fully convinced that relationship, which is as quirky and as weird and as off the rails as it gets between Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel, is going to be a ton of fun throughout the regular season. There's no question about it. But this is no longer now about, all right, the Chargers going and winning their double-digit games, which, by the way, I've already bet. Their over for wins is at 9.5. I am on it. To make the playoffs, I am on it. This is about taking the next step for them as a franchise. And losing your center for the year and now having questions about one of your tackles has got to bring deja vu right back to the forefront. Because you want to exercise those demons if you're Herbert. Come playoff time, I don't want to hear, the center was out for the year. This is why Justin Herbert threw 3 interceptions and lost a playoff game at Houston. I'm just throwing that out there as an example. It would behoove them in a big way. Not that their home field is the be-all, end-all. It's not. Like, I'm well aware of the fact that if the Chargers go and end up with the number 1 seed, there is a very, very good chance. Very, very good chance. Like, if they play Kansas City in a playoff game, Kansas City's taking over half the building. If they play Buffalo and they got to go to the Chargers, Buffalo's going to have more than half the building. Like, their fans are insane people and travel like crazy. So I know the Chargers would be working against that, but like, it's a comfort level. Home, warm weather, whole deal. Herbert's never played a playoff game at home. Jacksonville, epic collapse. Houston, all-time bad playoff game. Against a really good defense, but all-time comically bad playoff game. And then last year against New England, his defense and Jesse Minter's group did everything imaginable to go and win that game. Couldn't do enough. Eventually, we have to get to the point where we enjoy the fruits of the Herbert labor in January. Not in the middle of like week 6 or week 7 because he's super big and super mobile and throws a really pretty ball. I think in order to get that, winning a division would help. Now, we got some news on Ashton Jeanty, speaking of the AFC West. Jeanty, everybody fearing the worst. And speaking of fantasy football, that's why a lot of people don't like having their drafts during the middle of these preseasons. Because whether it's practice, whether it's a game, the last thing you want is to lose one of your best players. The ankle injury for Jeanty, people are fearing the worst. I saw a couple of viral videos on this on social media. Jeanty, sprained ankle, believed to be more low than high. That's good news. But he may not be on the field for week 1. That's according to Ian Rappaport. I mean, if I'm the Raiders, I'm also thinking to myself, I'm playing the Miami Dolphins. Can I go and get a win without Ashton Jeanty against quite possibly the worst team in the NFL? That would be nice. But for the fantasy owners that do have Ashton Jeanty, you want him, doing his thing. And I want to believe that the Raiders can be better. Like, I do. I think the league is better when the Raiders are good. They have Mendoza now, which is now going to be like that countdown of when is he going to be out there? When is he going to be out there? When is he going to be out there? And I know Brady's like, I don't like playing rookie quarterbacks in their first year. How are you going to sit there and play Kirk Cousins the entire season? Like, if I'm a Raider fan, by week 3 or week 4, the minute I see Kirk Cousins unable to move in the pocket and he throws a couple of the other team, I'm going to be like, hey, Quick Kubiak, let's get the kid out there. Let's get all his dorky nerdisms and all of the it that he brought with the Indiana Hoosiers to my team. Bowers is a stud. Better on the offensive line. Wrong division. That's the problem the Raiders have found themselves in. Like, I was just going through how Chargers win double-digit games. There's a team in Kansas City that, still has Patrick Mahomes and still has Andy Reid and still has a ton of pedigree. In a year in which, statistically speaking, they were better than what they were the year prior when they went to the Super Bowl. But instead of winning 10 zillion close games like they did in 2024, they found themselves losing all of those close games. And then Mahomes goes down with the injury. And that's all she wrote. But they are still the Chiefs, which means there's a baseline of pedigree of success that you might want to be careful fading and betting against. And then there's another team in the division, the Broncos, that I have to admit, I thought I was going to be out on. Like, because every metric of, hey, you play close games, you win close games, you're not going to have the same success the following year. Like, it's not going to happen. Turnover differentials, the same sort of deal. Like, teams that have crazy turnover differentials, you almost are banking on a market correction. The problem is, I think Denver's team is just significantly improved from where they were a year ago. And when you're well coached and you add to the talent base and you have a defense that's really, really good, I've talked myself into the idea that Denver can absolutely find themselves back in an AFC championship game in maybe find themselves back in the Super Bowl. AFC is the place to go and pinpoint teams at that like 20 to 24 to 1 number to go and get it. Like the Buffalo and Baltimore equations of this to me are entirely too overvalued. Have you seen Buffalo's schedule? Are you aware of the playoff demons that have followed Lamar Jackson throughout his career? I, for one, am looking for value in the AFC. So between now and the end of this show, I already have a ticket on the Cincinnati Bengals. There's another team I really, really like. I really, really like them in the AFC. And they have a major quarterback question. But as far as toughness, as far as what the entire element of the team is going to look like, wouldn't be a whole lot of fun to play come January. We come back on You Better You Bet. Good news for the New York Giants. Malik Neighbors looking like he's going to be able to give it a go come week 1. Is that a bet I should be making? Grabbing the 3 against the Cowboys? You know I love the Cowboys going into the year. And realistic first-year expectations for John Harbaugh's team. Is it playoffs or bust for a team that has not been there in a couple of seasons? JJ and for Kostos. We're coming right back.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
We're back. You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. John Jastremski in for our guy, Nick Kostos, right here, Westwood One Sports. Turn your baseball predictions into bigger potential payouts with today's MLB Parlay Boost token. Whether you're backing multiple game winners, stacking player props, or building a same-game parlay, your MLB Parlay Boost token helps you get even more out of every winning ticket. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly. And if I had to give you 2 player props I like in Major League Baseball today, I'll give you one from the New York Yankees. Cody Bellinger back from injury, went 1 for 4 in his return Sunday against the Toronto Blue Jays. Cody Bellinger takes advantage of that short porch at Yankee Stadium. The guy hasn't homered in forever. Got a game under his belt. I don't even need him to homer. Let's take him over 1.5 total bases. And the other one I'm going to give you is one of the hottest hitters, if not the hottest hitter in all baseball, and that's Pete Alonso, who, by the way, has been as good as it gets for the Baltimore Orioles, who have a lot of problems with that team, despite the fact that they're in it because everybody and their mother is in it in the American League. Like, basically, if you're not 20 games under 500, you're within grasp and within range of that third wild card spot. And the Orioles can't score a whole lot of runs. Alonso has helped them go and score some runs and keep them in a whole lot of games where they've had back-to-back huge weekends against the Tampa Bay Rays. But you want to have a little fun on the BetMGM app. Let's take Bellinger over 1.5 total bases, and then we will take Pete Alonso over 1.5 total bases and call it a day and hopefully cash it at around 9 o'clock Eastern this evening. Now, Giants are getting some good news here on Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors is a guy 2 years ago. Looked like he was going to be one of the best receivers in the NFL. Monstrous rookie campaign. Didn't have much to work with as far as quarterbacks are concerned. It was the end of Daniel Jones, who was a hot mess his last year with the Giants. You had the likes of Drew Lock starting games, Tommy DeVito starting game. Like the Giants, going back to that 2024 season, they made life as difficult as possible for Neighbors to go and have success, but they did force feed him the ball a ton. So, hey, I guess in theory you can go and put up numbers. But like the eye test told you, hey, this guy, playmaker, stud. Last year, was on his way to putting up big numbers. Jackson Dart takes over week 4 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Neighbors having a big game. Neighbors goes down with the injury. Boom. Don't see him, out for the year. MetLife turf strikes again. There was a consensus for most of this offseason that it was going to take Neighbors some time into the regular season before he was going to be able to play. Everything you've heard from John Harbaugh, everything you've heard from Malik Neighbors kind of tracks for him to be out there Sunday, week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. That's a great, great sign if you're the Giants. Because even though John Harbaugh wants to come in with Matt Nagy, with Greg Roman, they want to have this sort of physical, we run the ball type of mentality. They go and bring in a fullback. They have like 5 different running backs. They have a quarterback who, yes, has to stay out of the medical tent and, yes, has to do a better job of protecting his body, but he's also a quarterback who's going to run around a little bit. That's all nice. But I want to be able to hit a home run every now and again. And Neighbors being back on the field is going to help that running game. Just is. Running game is going to take away some looks from Mr. Malik Neighbors. And that's how you can paint the picture of growth and acceleration for a Giant team in 2026. Coach comes in and gives you instant credibility. Neighbors back for a full year. There are teams that are on the right side of the close games. Denver, Chicago. The Giants were the opposite of that a year ago. I mean, they literally invented ways to lose games a season ago. Do I have to read you the laundry list? The Denver game, one of the worst collapses in a fourth quarter I've ever seen in my life. They had one against the Bears. They had one against the Lions. They had one against the Cowboys. The Packer game was close in the fourth quarter. Like, All of these close games went against the Giants in 2025. I'm going to bet on the fact that they're going to go and even that out this year. Now, before you put words in my mouth and say, JJ, you betting the over at 7.5? Not so fast. JJ, you betting the Giants to make the playoffs? Not so fast. No. Division's really tough. I expect the Giants to be a much more complete team than what they were a year ago. But is it good enough to be first or second in this division? I'm not there yet. I'm all in on the Dallas Cowboys this year. Famous last words. I know. It's very rare that I find myself getting suckered in by America's team. Like, I am not one of these people that's waving cowboy pom-poms. Usually it's way more glass half empty than glass half full with the Cowboys, but their offense is loaded. Dak Prescott is one of the most underrated, underappreciated quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, if you watch the games every Sunday like I do, he's baller. He's big time quarterback. They got two tremendous receivers. They got a really good tight end. They rediscovered a running game last year. Their offense was as elite as almost any offense in the league a season ago. But their defense was an embarrassment of epic proportions. Between the coaching, between the talent, all of the above. This Giant team is going to be contending with the Cowboys with a much improved defense. Quinn Williams for a full year. Caleb Downs, arguably one of the best draft picks in the first round. And an Eagle team that, always seems to find a way now to win double-digit games. And then there's the Washington factor of this. And truth be told, this is the team I'm having the hardest time with from like a take perspective, because Jayden Daniels 2 years ago was amazing. Like top 5 quarterback in the league, amazing. Like one of the best rookie seasons I've ever seen a quarterback play, amazing. Yet, last year was a nightmare. You getting 16 or 17 games out of Jayden Daniels? And what version of Jayden Daniels am I getting? Like if he's the guy who was 2 years ago, betting he washed the Commanders under is not going to be a comforting, promising bet. If I get Jayden Daniels from last year, I think Washington's going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And Dan Quinn is probably going to get fired. Not going to be in the Washington business. I'm going to be in the Cowboy business. But my gut right now, if you gave me a free hundo, I said, JJ, you could bet on one of these two teams to make the playoffs. It's not on my dime. It's on your dime. Giants at their price, Commanders at their price. I take the Giants. Because coaching matters. Neighbors is back. Like the moves on defense. Elite pass rush. Give me that last place schedule. Give me that bump. That coaching bump. But I don't think anybody's giving me a free 100 around here. So in that case, let's just take the Dallas Cowboys to go and win the NFC East. And while you're at it, if you're looking at the MVP markets, north of 12-1 for Dak Prescott for MVP. It's appealing. It's juicy. A lot more to do. We'll line up what the 2026 NFL season is going to look like. Anthony DeBundo, my old pal from The Ringer, not only does he do the NFL, we'll have some fun with Major League Baseball over the final 6 weeks of the year. Is there a team we should bet to win the World Series that has some value? And DeBundo loves the tennis. We'll do that too. JJ, in for Kostos, right here. You better, you bet. On Westwood One Sports.
It's time to laugh, to win, and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment.
Unbelievable!
This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Hour 2, JJ in for Kostos, You Better You Bet, presented by Westwood One Sports, right here from our friends at MGM, BetMGM, of course. This guy spent a lot of time with me. He's killing it now over at The Ringer. He finished up his World Cup coverage. Now it's Ringer Wise Guys, gambling, all on Twitch, podcast, wherever you get it. Anthony DeBundo. DeBundo, welcome in. Where do we stand right now? We feeling good about our NFL prep? You feel like you're 80, 90% of the way there? I know it was a busy summer for you with the soccer, but August 25th, set the scene. What can you tell the people? Feeling good? I do not hear DeBundo right now. He's probably giving us a point of brilliance, but he's muted. I can see him talking, but I can't hear him. Still can't hear him. I love when we have to troubleshoot on the fly. It happens. Like I'm usually notorious for this, so it happens to me on a regular basis. It looks like the Bundo is getting straightened out right now, so got to make sure the mic is there. Oh, I hear you loud and clear. Welcome in. What happened to your mic? You didn't charge it?
It was plugged in the whole time. I guess there was just a false start. I'm not sure.
Finicky. Huh. It's like my life in a nutshell. Very finicky. You feeling good about your NFL prep right now or no?
Yeah, it's fun because I start the year with this big empty spreadsheet, and as I slowly fill out the other sheets, you slowly see the power ratings populate 1 to 32. And then when I finally finished my last division, which was the NFC South this year, save the best for last, JJ. It feels like a very cool thing. And, there's some tinkering and plenty of changes that will go on between now and then. But I have an opinion on all 32 teams one way or another in some form or fashion. So we're ready to go.
I like the sound of that. You're wearing a Green Bay Packer hat. You have been a big proponent of Jordan Love, as have I. LaFleur, who's a quality regular season head coach, but a whole lot of playoff demons. And I feel like they're a team that nobody is giving any love to throughout this summertime period, AD, because the Lions have the last place schedule. They were everybody's darling a couple of years ago. There's Caleb Williams, there's Ben Johnson in Chicago, and some people are looking at them as the team that's going to go and take the next step. Are you as bullish as you've been in years past on the Packers? Are they undervalued? Or is this a year they're staring a last place finish in the face?
Yeah, I came in kind of looking at the Packers very high level saying, okay, Josh Jacobs is in legal trouble. Dobbs goes away. Wicks leaves. The offensive line doesn't look very good on paper. And I think with Parsons out, it's very easy to draw the angle of like Green Bay is kind of mediocre. But then when I went through my power ratings and I ultimately settled on what this offense is just fully right now, I still think this is a very, very good offense. And I think they've been able to scheme around offensive line personnel issues long enough that you have to trust them in this situation. You have to believe in what this offense can be and has been. I mean, this football team was 9-3-1 last year. They lose their last few games of the season. They crumble the division. But think about the absurdity of some of their losses down the stretch. And I do think there are real questions, especially early, about the defense and what that looks like without Micah Parsons. But, Jonathan Gannon, a defensive coordinator who's maybe not that highly regarded, but I'd argue he's never had as much talent as he does now. Certainly he didn't in Arizona. Not since he was in Philly did he have talent. And they were a very high floor, maybe questions about the schematic ceiling defense. But that's okay for this Green Bay team. This Green Bay team doesn't need to be a great defense because every single year that Matt LaFleur has been the head coach, they've been a top 11 offense. And every single year they have found a way to create consistent explosive plays. And with Reed, Watson, and Kraft coming back, I think that should be the case again. Of course, injuries can derail them. You can say that about every team, right? But currently constructed week 1 offense, there's not 10 I'm taking over the Green Bay Packers.
Would you bet the Packers at plus 240 to win the division?
That's where it gets a little trickier. I like their over 9.5, but this division is crazy. I mean, genuinely, I don't have very much of a gap between 1 and 4 in my power ratings. I understand why Detroit is the favorite because of the schedule. Of the 4 teams, they certainly got the last place schedule, which in the NFC with a couple of basement teams is very important and could be a leg up. But I also think Detroit arguably has the lowest floor of all 4 teams. Because what do we know in the post-Ben Johnson era of the Lions? We don't know a ton. We know they have major defensive holes in the secondary. We know they have an offense that took a step back last year from being, a top group and got exposed schematically more consistently than they ever had before. So I look at a Lions team and I say, I understand where if they play up to what they can be, and if you just take the last 2 or 3 years and you apply it to their current schedule, you say, yeah, Lions are the favorite to win the division. That's true, but I think people are maybe underselling the downside risk of the post-Johnson era continuing to be a little bit underwhelming and them not really ever finding that next play caller, scheme elevator that Johnson was, and them ultimately ending up as an 8 or 9 win team yet again.
I know you're a big fan of this. You like to look at teams that won a lot of close games the year prior, and you can't expect that to be the case again. Right? So Chicago and Denver are 2 teams that I look at where I'm like, they're pulling games out of their rear end on a consistent basis. If one is going to come back to the pack, if you had to sell one of those 2 teams, Chicago or Denver, is there one you're, dare I say, lower on?
I would probably say that Denver has the higher ceiling as a result of their defense being considerably better than Chicago's. And because we know what the missing piece is there. New play caller, new receiver one with Waddle coming in. You can see the world where if Bo Nix is just mediocre and they're an average offense and a very good defense, that team could compete in an AFC. I am not sure or convinced at all that Chicago has the personnel to be an actual contender at the top of the NFC defensively. Like if they may win 11 or 12 games, and I think if anything, the market might be a little cool on them win total wise, just because I think this offense with Johnson is going to be great. But I just think when they get into a playoff setting and they're not going to be able to rely on turnovers against bad teams as much, you start to see all the cracks in this defense, and then they get exposed as a result of that. And look, a lot can change between now and January, but that's kind of where I see the Bears. Maybe a higher floor because of the offense, but a lower ceiling because of the defense. Denver's an interesting case too, though. I will say this about Denver. Not as high on Kansas City anymore either. That defense last year got to play a lot of backups. And we know the personnel is very good. We know the pass rush and the corners are very good. And we know the scheme is consistent. But putting together 3 elite seasons in a row is very rare for a defense. And this year, the schedule looks a lot more beefed up than all the backups that they got to play last season.
My guess, you're on the Chargers to win the AFC West. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yep.
I bet them to win double-digit games. Didn't get involved in the division market. They win double-digit games with Harbaugh every year. I mean, they've done it each of the last 2 years. I wouldn't bet against that.
With bad offensive play callers, I'd argue. This year, they bring in Mike McDaniel. I think this is the group that could take the leap, and I wouldn't be surprised in week 7 or 8 if we're saying that the Chargers are the best offense in the AFC. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's on the table. I think Buffalo.
Are you on them from let's take it a step further, though. You like them to win the division. Would you suggest to the audience Herbert MVP, Charger AFC Super Bowl tickets are worth having or no?
Herbert MVP, I saw dipped under 10-1. At that number, it's probably not great, right? Relatively, because we are still talking about a quarterback that would need to take a pretty sizable leap in efficiency, right? He's never had one of those Burrow-esque or even Stafford-esque or May-esque seasons, right? I think May is a better bet for MVP at the same price than Herbert because May has demonstrated elite offensive efficiency and adds A.J. Brown to the mix, and there's continuity. Whereas with Herbert, it is still a new scheme. It's a little bit different than what he's used to. There isn't that 1A receiver that really puts this offense over the top. I think it's going to be a scheme upgrade that will make them a better offense. But we're still dealing with, again, new OC, new DC for the Chargers. So there's real questions about whether it takes a little bit of time to come in and produce at the level that I think this offense is capable of doing in the McDaniel offense.
All right, you're doing all these division previews. I'm sure there are at least one or two plant the flag AD takes that he has for the 2026 season. You could take this any which way you want. Over, division, future to win a Super Bowl. I'm really giving you an open forum on this. I'd prefer one positive, one negative, though, so I am throwing a little disclaimer just to be that guy. You could take this any which way you like. Now that your research is basically concluded, give me two plant the flag NFL takes for 2026.
I am selling all of the Giants stock that anybody bought because of the Harbaugh hire. And I have a lot of doubts about the consistency of this offense this season. I think a lot of people think, and look, the run game could be decent. I think you could sell me a story where the Giants are a pretty effective run game, but even in the dart good games, a lot of it was third down. A lot of it was chasing explosive plays vertically. I'm not sure the personnel is there offensively to consistently pull that off long term. And I think the defense on the back end, to me, as much as we always love this pass rush and we talk about that, and the defense against the run should be better with Reader coming in and the rookie linebacker. Like you're like, all right, the run game should be a little better, but I have questions about the scheme and I have questions about the back end and the schedule. There's a lot of good quarterbacks on that schedule this year that could probably just pick apart that secondary. So I have a lot of questions about the Giants. I don't think Harbaugh is some massive upgrade in the year 2026 anymore because he's not giving you the schematic advantage, and I'm not really sure what the innovation is of this Giants offense that's going to surprise me this year. So I am a seller of the New York Giants, JJ. I'm sorry to say it. I know you're not a Giants guy, but you are in New York. So
I want the Giants to have a relevant season for what it's worth. Yeah, you're right. I'm not a Giant guy, but it's better for business if the Giants can go and give me a season into December. I will say, though, I think you have to look at one of those two teams within the NFC East and think they're going to bottom out. That's probably how it will work. I think Washington more than likely ends up being that team that bottoms out because if Jaden doesn't play or is 3/4 of what he was, if he's closer to what he was last year, I think that team has disaster written all over it. I think the Giants are going to be like a 7 feisty win team. I am out of the playoffs. I get why you're on the under, but I do think they're improved, and I do think coaching matters for what it's worth.
Look, like all the metrics would say that this team should be improved, relative to the 4 wins they had last year. Yes, they are a better team than that. I just can't get to the 8 that you would need to get to the over on this win total. I think it's a long way up to 8. And look, like they did get one off Philly last year. I'm a little bit skeptical of Philly, and I think Dallas also. Like this division is not
Cowboys
as
AD,
cut and dry.
I'm on it. Cowboys, I love them this year.
I think everybody's on Dallas. Yeah,
that's the problem. It's a little frightening.
I think they'll win 10. I have major questions about like playoff ceiling with their defense, but I think they're right there with
win a Super Bowl. AD, I don't even win a Super Bowl. Just cash my plus 200 to win the division. That's what I need.
And it's moving your way. Market's moving your way on that one. I've seen plus 170s out there recently.
Okay, so you're out on the Giants. Who are you in on?
I mean, like we're speaking relatively here. I'm in on the Miami offense.
I think you're just trying to butter me up a little bit here. Make me feel better.
This is like a take I have, and I think that again, this is relative to market. I'm not saying that the Miami Dolphins are going to go out there and win 8 games, and Malik Willis is going to light the league up. But I think they're going to be an annoying underdog to play against, a running dog who is consistently in games because the O-line's really good and the offensive scheme run game is good, and Willis can use his legs, and they're able to consistently stay in games where they're going to be the annoying, 7.5 point dog who covers a bunch of games and overperforms their market rating, basically, is my whole thing. Where it's like, this is, again, not a great team. Their defense is going to be a problem, but I think Miami scores a lot more than people are expecting this year.
Well, and those wide receivers that nobody knows, we'll see if those Green Bay guys who have had a reputation for finding receivers out of nowhere can do it with the likes of Caleb Douglas and Chris Bell and whatever veteran middling guys they brought into the team. I just hope Willis can play and give me a watchable product week in and week out. Got to get to a ton of baseball with you. Your Phillies are on fire, dude. They're trying to chase down the Braves in the NL East. They have a pitching rotation that would be frightening for a team like the Dodgers to play if Wheeler's right, with Sanchez, with Luzardo. I know you're a Philly guy, but I also know you can be very fair, balanced, and reasonable and rational when it comes to your takes. Are the Phillies the biggest threat to the big bad Dodgers in the National League?
I would still probably put the Brewers there, but we've just seen Milwaukee have these playoff issues before, and I do wonder if their high floor, low ceiling offense, they're being really good with runners in scoring position and not hitting homers strategy translates to playoff baseball when the long ball becomes much more king and much more prominent. Honestly, I think it's actually the Cubs, but I'll go that the Phillies are very much capable of doing that to the Dodgers. The Phillies have lost a bunch of games to the Dodgers in the last couple of years, mostly on stupid stuff, whether it's errors, base running miscues, fielding, various other mental mistakes, some questionable bullpen management. The games between Philly and LA last year, even in that series, were very competitive. I mean, 3 of the 4 games were decided basically on the last swing or the last at bat. And so I just don't think the gap is that big when the Philly is able to pare down its roster and focus on its best 16 or 17 guys. And right now, I mean, in terms of just the math on it, there's very much a world where Philly does catch Atlanta. Atlanta's rotation is in trouble. They only have 2 guys pitching well at the moment. Philly, meanwhile, with Nola and Painter kind of turning their seasons around on the back end of the Philly rotation, all of a sudden, they're probably the deepest rotation outside of New York in the league. And you're like, wait a minute, like Philly could swipe this division, grab the 3 seed, and set us up for maybe another Philly Dodgers NLDS series. So ultimately, I think the NL is much more open than people think. And I am holding a lot of Dodgers no World Series that I'm hoping to cash before we get to the World Series this fall.
So I'm in agreement with you on that, but I want to throw this at you. To me, if the Dodgers get through the National League, there's no way they're losing the World Series. I know they should have lost to Toronto last year, but I feel like if they get there. But if they get there, dude, and they can sniff it, that team with all that pedigree, with all those Hall of Famers, they're 4 wins away. They're getting it done. Like, to me, if they get knocked off, it's the Phillies. It's the Cubs. It's in this early stage of the postseason where it's like, boom, you get them. Like, if that team can taste it, man, I can't see them losing the World Series. I just can't.
I got a lot of. We'll see how Glasnow looks tonight. His last rehab start was really, really, really good. He gets a tough matchup tonight with Atlanta's offense. Elder, who looks like he's on fumes, he goes up against the Dodgers, so that should be a good test in that series. They're playing 3 here. Glasnow and Snell to me look like they're pitching really well, and that changes the calculus for the Dodgers because then they go into the playoffs with their 4 aces, and it's like good luck, and maybe Ohtani's in the bullpen. I don't know, but there are so many other holes on this Dodgers team that people are kind of overlooking. Like, they've been a bad defensive team for 2 months. Mookie Betts has not hit most of the year. The catching situation without Will Smith.
Tucker. My goodness.
I mean, the back end of the bullpen, Diaz is now on the injured list, which felt like you need a breather list.
Injured list. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're like, there's a lot more holes than there were last year. Last year, it was a very obvious hole. It was like the bullpen stinks. And we think we can mitigate that by pushing some starters back there. And Sasaki gave them a couple good weeks. And really, they should have lost the World Series, but they were able to hide the bullpen just enough and have some clutch hits. This team has like 3 or 4 different holes that I think can be picked at. Again, maybe the starters are so good it doesn't matter, but that's a dangerous way to play in the playoffs. Is a massive favorite. I like the underdog that has great starting pitching. I don't love the favorite that has great starting pitching and what has actually been a league average offense since July 1st.
Crazy thing about. Can I throw this one at you? They have some work to do to make the playoffs. Work to do.
Let me guess,
the American
Seattle?
League to win. No, I can't.
Oh, not
I already
Seattle.
bet them to win it. No, and I'll tell you why. Because I have them to win the AL West from like Memorial Day weekend at plus money. And I was like, wow, this is such a great bet. I'm so proud of myself. Then they had like a good 3 weeks. They moved past the A's. And then the Mariners win the absolute tank. And I'm like, wow. Now you could have gotten some crazy numbers. And yes, the AL West is so bad it's there for the taking. But I want to mention
I still think they're going to win it for what it's worth.
I don't think that's crazy at all. Houston just fired their GM. They stink. And their schedule's a joke, right?
They have 17
Seattle's
games against the Rockies, A's, and Angels in September.
Yeah,
they go 12-5 in those games. Yeah.
They'll make up the ground. I totally agree. But I want to hit you on Toronto. I know it's been a weird year for them. Yes. I think if Toronto, here's my case. if they get this 6th seed, they'll play the AL West.
Mm-hmm.
I like my chances, even if it's Seattle. Beat them last year. If they win that series, AD, they're going to get the White Sox. I know the White Sox have been a fun story, all the walk-offs, all the young kids within their lineup. I think Toronto beats the White Sox. And then I'm staring at like a 35-1 ticket in the American League and like, they've played the Yankees tough. They've played great against the Red Sox. Then they don't play great against the Rays. But at 35-1, I think they're worse bets to make, dude.
I'm looking now at this day. This is it's a crazy race, honestly. I mean, I'm looking at Fangraphs projections. Fangraphs right now has in the AL wildcard race, hypothetically, Astros 80.8, Mariners 80.4, Jays 79.4, Orioles 78.6, Twins 79.4, Tigers 77.5. So like 6 teams within 2 games of each other. Could be an all-time race. My issue is, where's the ceiling on this team in the playoffs? I mean, Vlad Guerrero still hasn't hit a homer right at Rogers Center in like a year. And there's just no power whatsoever. At a certain point, you have to have something in your offense to kick into a playoff gear. And I don't really think Springer and Vlad are showing me that this year. So I'd almost rather take a team with more hitting upside. And I mean, I keep saying Seattle because we at least know what it looks like. I mean, Cal had a big game last night. Maybe he's finally healthy. Maybe he's snapping out of his year-long funk. I don't know. But I just don't think the offense is very good. And I think that's going to be a big issue when they get in the playoffs and face quality pitching.
Fair pushback. Very fair pushback. Okay, before we say goodbye, U.S. Open. I know you love it. You going? I'm sure you'll be there.
I'll be there. Exactly when, I'm not sure yet, but I will be there.
Multiple days, or is that debatable?
The current plan is Sunday and then Monday or Tuesday, depending on the schedule. And then I'll be there for one day. Do
you like going to the earlier matches? I assume that you do.
I do, yeah. I'm a sicko in that way. Give me a grounds pass and let me, print out the schedule and circle the 3 or 4 matches that I absolutely want to see that day and kind of just maraud around the grounds. I mean, at this point in my tennis viewing fandom, I have seen, all the top guys before and women, and especially pre-round 3 or 4, you're just not getting a lot of competitive Ash matches. So the best way to do it is the grounds pass. But the problem is other people have figured this out and have now, the grounds pass prices are way higher than they used to be. But yeah, I'm excited for the Open. It's, for my money, the best sporting event of the year to go to attend in person. I think nothing beats it. And I can't wait for it.
Who are you betting? Men's, women's side. Anybody stand out?
The women's side, I think Coco Gauff is playing better tennis than anybody else right now. The men's side, Hodar is the name everybody keeps throwing around. I get it, but at this current price, I think he's kind of overbet now. Like he was 22-1 2 weeks ago, and now he's half that. I kind of think you missed your window. Zverev has not played good tennis. Medvedev has not played good tennis. I think it's worth going a little further down the board. And the 2 guys I have are also play small wagers on are Menchik and Ojay Aliassim. They're just really good hardcore players, really young-ish players, especially in the case of Menchik, who have had some big match experience and not always looked great in those big matches. But you could see a world where they're both, quarterfinal, semifinalists, and then we'll just kind of assess who's left. Because Alcaraz has not played tennis since April. This is his first tournament back. There's the most likely path on the men's side is Alcaraz gets a favorable draw. He kind of plays his way into form, and then by the quarterfinals, he's back to 80-90% of what we're used to seeing from Carlos, and he just wins the tournament because nobody else is that close to him. But he's taken some weird early tournament losses in his career before, and he hasn't played tennis, so he could get picked off. We don't know who he's going to play yet, right? The draw hasn't come out, but there's some dangerous guys lurking in the draw that aren't exactly seeded that could pick him off. So we'll wait and see what the draw looks like. But Menchik and Felix are the 2 long shots worth playing. Men's field so open, nobody's playing well. Even Shelton, he's 8-1. He has not played great tennis this summer. So I'm inclined to think we could get a really surprise champ.
He's a stud. Appreciate a couple minutes. Anthony DeBundo, check him out. Ringer Gambling Show, Ringer Wise Guys, all that good stuff. Podcast, Twitch, wherever you get them. Buddy, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks for having me.
When we come back, AD's right. Dodgers might be vulnerable in the National League. Who's the team we're eyeing? Who we betting in the futures market? We'll dive into that coming up next.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, yeah. You better you bet. John Jastremski in for Nick Kostos right here on Westwood One Sports, presented by our friends over at BetMGM. Good stuff there from my pal Anthony DeBundo, who has to be fired up about the fact that his Philadelphia Phillies are making a move in the National League East. And, I took a lot of heat for this take that I gave out on Nicky's show a couple weeks ago. I came on as a guest, and I made the case that the Atlanta Braves would actually, in a way, be the team the Dodgers don't want to see come playoff time. And I know for a lot of people, that's going to be like, JJ, how does that make sense? Milwaukee's been so much better. The Cubs have been so much better. The Phillies can roll out Zach Wheeler and Jesus Luzardo and, yes, Christopher Sanchez in a best-of-5 series. But the Braves have one starting pitcher. How are they beating the Los Angeles Dodgers? Well, the case I made with Atlanta is a simple one. They can outslug the Dodgers. And I feel like you're going to have to be able to do that in order to beat them. Now, that case to me is null and void for the Braves if they find themselves not winning the NL East, because they are not set up to go and play a wild card series. They're just not. Like, that wild card series is so conducive to starting pitching. Like, it's the start of the postseason. It's like tough to get your offense, boom, boom, ready to go. Like, you almost need to ease in offensively a little bit in these playoff series. Braves, though, and lose this NL East to the Phillies, they're, going to be feeling it. Feeling it, because then the reward is you play a best of 3 with the Chicago Cubs. And the Cubs do have starting pitching that they feel good about. Here's my feeling on the NL at the moment. I know Milwaukee Brewer fans aren't going to like to hear this. And look, I love the Miz. He's going to win the NL Cy Young. He's the best pitcher in all of baseball. I love watching him do his thing. I think Pat Murphy is incredible. The fact that the Brewers have not missed a beat at all after saying goodbye to David Stearns and after saying goodbye to Craig Counsell speaks to Murphy, speaks to that organization, and they know how to churn out regular season winners. I can't argue that. I have major, major problems with the odds makers making them the second shot in the National League. Brewers got to show me. They got to show me. They played a series last year against the Dodgers where, let's be honest, they could not have been more uncompetitive. Am I right or am I wrong? And it wasn't like the Dodgers went through the postseason just steamrolling everybody, where it's like, hey, JJ, why are you picking on the Brewers? Ooh, come on, everybody got smoked by the Dodgers. False. Fake news. Not true. The Phillies were in extra innings of Game 4 of the division series, and Kerkering threw the ball away, and they lost a couple of close games in Philly in Games 1 and Game 2, to the point where there easily could have been a 5th game in Philadelphia in the NLDS. Then, the World Series, you don't need to relitigate what you saw in Game 6 and Game 7 and the epic in Game 3. The Toronto Blue Jays outplayed the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. Did they not? Like, I watched the games, and I'm not saying the Dodgers should apologize. They won the series. Yamamoto was incredible. Rojas' heroics, the Pages catch. Like, it's what happens when you go and win back-to-back championships. You got to have a little lady luck on your side. But for my money, they were outplayed in the series. So I bring all of that up because Milwaukee was a joke. They got smoked at home, and then Ohtani went and played like a little leaguer, like the stud little leaguer that goes and dominates a game, that strikes out 10 and hits 3 home runs, and you walk away from your little league saying, this guy doesn't belong in the league. That's the way we felt about Ohtani after Game 4. I can't get there with Milwaukee, guys. I can't do it. I know their pitching is there. I know they put the ball in play. And here's the other problem I have with them. You got to be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark in these postseason series. Like, yes, you have to put the ball in play. I respect that. But for someone who is a fan of the New York Yankees and watches my team strike out double-digit times in like every single one of these playoff games, I get it. I understand it. It'll make you go gray. It will drive you to drink. But you also have to be able to hit a three-run homer from time to time. Because the pitching gets that much better in October. You're not matching up anymore with 4 and 5s all over the league. It's top starters all over the league. They're not going to make a whole lot of mistakes. They're not going to be going and giving up, 4 and 5 hits in an inning. So it's like, hey, you get a couple of runners on base, you got to go and hit one out of the ballpark. So I have reservations about Milwaukee being able to do that consistently throughout the postseason. So no, I would not get on board and I would not get involved with any futures with the Milwaukee Brewers. And it could go and shut me up. Hey, Seattle did. Although I bet it's weird. I was out on Seattle like as a Super Bowl team. Then they got the 1 seed. They got a beat up San Francisco team. I bet against them with the Rams, I will admit. But I actually found a way to pay it forward and then some with the matchup they had against the Patriots. That to me was ready-made to order. But totally different sport. I bring that up because Seattle shut me up, narrative-wise. Milwaukee, go shut me up. I speak on behalf of America right now. Nobody wants to see the Los Angeles Dodgers go win a third straight World Series. So if the Brewers are the team that's playing them in the NLCS, I'll be hooting and hollering and rooting like crazy for them. I just would not look at them as the team that's best set up to go and beat the Dodgers. Braves can outslug them. Phillies can match them from a pitching standpoint. But are the Phillies going to go and catch the ball well enough? Are the Phillies going to go and run the bases well enough? Like, that's the sort of stuff you have to be able to do in order to go and beat them. The team that I keep looking at now, that I'm trying to make a case for, because I can't get enough of Crow Armstrong. I thought they had an outstanding deadline. Not a good deadline, an outstanding deadline. By adding Clay Holmes, by adding Kevin Gausman. Their infield defense is exquisite. Maybe the Cubs are the team that we got to target in the National League. Tell you this, if you give me a choice right now of a National League bet I can make, Cubs to win the National League pennant, Brewers to win a National League pennant. Who are you taking? I'm taking the Cubs better number. Because I know if they get into that series with the Dodgers, they could beat them. The Brewers went 3 out of 4 last week. I think it amounts to nothing. Sorry. I've seen the Brewers go and have success against the Dodgers in the regular season. I've not seen it come October. They can go shut me up, prove me wrong. But there is no way in the world I'm getting on board with the Milwaukee Brewers in any way. And as I told Anthony DeBundo, if you look at the American League, the Toronto Blue Jays at 30-something to 1 to win a pennant is worth a flyer. Now, I'm aware of the fact they could go and lose 5 out of 7 games here and be dead, and there's nothing to discuss. But the 6th wild card or the final wild card, however we're phrasing this in the American League, I think it's fair to say it's attainable when you're within a game and everybody is under 500 and all of these teams stink. What do the Blue Jays have that the other teams don't? October pedigree. Springer has played in postseason series. Ernie Clement is a guy you'd love to have in a postseason lineup. I know Vlad Guerrero can't hit this year at all to save his life, but he's still Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like, I'll take those guys who put the ball in play and have a couple of guys who can hit it out of the ballpark. Cease, Soriano, Varland in 9th inning to beat the AL West winner? I mean, do you like any of those teams? I don't. And the Chicago White Sox have been one of the best stories in baseball. I'm a coward because I didn't bet them to win a division. I bet them over wins. I was like, oh, they'll be spunky 75, 80 win team. I mean, they're probably going to win in the high 80s, mid 80s. And the rest of the division is an embarrassment, as we know. But that's a young, inexperienced team. Like, if Toronto matches up with them in a division series, Toronto's probably an even money pick. They might even be favored to win the series. So what am I getting at here? There's a great path for them to get to an ALCS. They play the Yankees tough. They basically went even with the Yankees in the regular season. They play the Red Sox extremely tough. The Red Sox can't beat them. Tampa's a different story. But I get in the playoffs, 35-1, get me the ALCS, and I got some hedge maneuver abilities. Keep an eye on the Toronto Blue Jays. A lot more coming your way in this loaded Tuesday edition of You Better You Bet. Coming up later in the show, we're going to dive into the three teams that come July I was buying and selling for this NFL season. We'll revisit how I feel about them as we are a couple of weeks away from kickoff. And the Big Ten is making a very rational and proper move when it comes to eligibility. Unfortunately, the SEC, I'm not sure they're going to follow suit. We'll dive into that. A lot more futures coming your way for the start of this NFL season. JJ and Kostos right here, Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back. It is You Better You Bet. John Jastremski in for Nick Kostos right here, Westwood One Sports, presented by our friends over at BetMGM. And you want to turn your baseball predictions into bigger potential payouts with today's MLB Parlay Boost token. Whether you're backing multiple game winners, stacking player props, or building a same-game parlay, your MLB Parlay Boost token helps you get even more out of every winning ticket. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly. And I will say, if you want to get on board with one of those Parlay Boost tokens, Yankees, Astros today at the stadium, I think you're going to have a whole lot of runs. I know the Yankee offense been down for a good chunk of time without Aaron Judge, but showed some signs of life against the Toronto Blue Jays. Astro pitching leaves a lot to be desired. Will Warren should light up a Houston offense led by Yordan Alvarez. So maybe find some player props there and get on board with some overs. Gang, have you seen these NFL rivalry uniforms yet? Oh my God, these are disgusting. Billy Z, this Jaguar uniform, what are they doing? The Jaguars, to me, and this is my big take on uniforms that I have a major, major problem with, because I understand that a lot of these teams are all looking to cash. They're all looking to make money grabs. They're all looking to get more money in their pockets. It's all well and good. I get it. It's a business. The Jaguars are one of these teams. If they went back to the Mark Brunell, Fred Taylor, Keenan McCardle jerseys, everybody would be happy. Those uniforms slap, as the kids like to say. They are amazing. They are badass. What is this heap of nonsense that I am looking at right now? Looks like something you'd be buying at Lululemon, for goodness sakes, Billy Z. These stink.
Yeah, those are pretty rough. And look, I get alternate jerseys and trying to make money and all. Whatever. I'm a big classic jerseys guy. I don't want I'm a Bears fan. I don't want the Bears to ever leave the navy and orange. But like a lot of these jerseys, like you look at these, the Vikings just became the Ravens, the Lions became the Panthers, the Bears became the Illini. No, these aren't original. They're just stealing like jerseys from other teams.
And that's the problem. Now, I do want to be fair on this. The Houston Texan ones look very cool.
Texans are cool. I agree.
If you know what the Houston Texan angle on this may be, I mean, this is shades out of the Houston Oilers, which is now kind of what the Tennessee Titans like to do from time to time. See, that's the problem now. Who in theory gets the Oilers? Is it Houston because they used to play there and that's the city? Or is it the Titans because, hey, the owner took the team, it's my franchise, I'm doing whatever the hell I want, I'm wearing the Oilers stuff if I want to wear the Oilers stuff? That's kind of a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's strange. And yeah, I know for this purpose, the Oilers, they went to Tennessee. So, Warren Moon is part of the Titans franchise, and that's just what it is. But, they did it differently with the Ravens. The Ravens moved, the Browns moved to Baltimore and became an expansion team in essence. And the Browns got their old, Cleveland got their old team back. So it's very weird what they do with all this stuff. Again, the bottom line is the NFL is just finding new ways to print money because people are going to go out and buy these jerseys, and that's what matters.
All in on just putting a little extra loot in your pocket. I get it, Billy Z. I get it. We'll bring you back a little bit later on the show when you can evaluate my 3 favorite overs and 3 favorite unders for the 2026 NFL season. What can go wrong? And I must say, Billy Z, there was one team that for sure I thought I was selling with you guys back in July that I've done a little bit of an about face on. Just throwing that out there for the listening audience.
Are you leaving it or are you now buying? You're doing a full 180?
Yes and no. What's interesting is the teams that I was buying in July, I think I'm even more in love with now, which is a little disturbing. There's one that actually there's one that I thought I was going to bet for a division. I actually did, but it was a small unit. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. And the more and more I've thought about this team, I would advise the audience not to go and bet this team. And I'll spoil it. It's the Tennessee Titans. You can't bet the Tennessee Titans to win the division now. You just can't do it. It's just, has anybody seen the way Cam Waters looked in this preseason trying to throw the football? Like, that Houston Texans defense is still staring me in the face. And I cannot wait, Bill Z, to have my bet cash in the circuit contest when I'm on the Houston Texans laying the point against the Buffalo Bills in week 1. I cannot wait to bet that game. I already have. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I was in on the Titans early. That was one of my, worst to first sleeper picks. I'm still Saints was my other one. I'm still pretty okay with the Saints, but the Titans, I agree. And the one thing I kept saying is the problem with the Titans is that they're a bad organization. And I don't like betting on bad organizations. Even if it looks like things are coming together, bad orgs stay bad. The Jets are bad. Cleveland is bad. They are bad every year. Every once in a while, they might, put together an 11-6 season or whatever. But I don't want to be betting on them in hoping that you're getting one of those fluke years. I don't like betting on bad orgs.
And it's amazing how a week 1 game can really set a tone, I think, one way or another for a season. That Jet-Titan game, which definitely is not the most appetizing and appealing game on the week 1 card. I'll be the first to tell you that. There are a lot of people in my life trying to talk up the Jets. I know the current host of this show, Mr. Kostos. I've tried to kind of remind him, dude, are you sure it's the Jets? I just want to let you know it's the Jets. We got to be careful here. We have to be aware of this.
Did we see Aaron Glenn manage games on the sidelines last year? Did we see what happened?
It's the Jets. Newsflash.
Exactly.
Reminder, all of the above. It's the Jets. We're going to have a lot of fun coming up at the start of the final hour of this show. These two are rock stars. They know how to find winners. They know how to have a good time. The great Kelly in Vegas, Kelly Stewart, Ariel Epstein, they're joining forces for Splash Sports. They got these crazy survivor pools. I've never done a college football survivor. I'm going to do a college football survivor. I'll probably be out in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the year. So Kelly's going to set the stage on that. Ariel's going to set the stage on some NFL stuff. Going to have a ton of fun, and hopefully they can share a favorite future or two for the listening audience, the viewing audience. JJ, in for Kostos, right here. It's You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Final hour. Oh, we're stoked. We're fired up. JJ, John Jastremski in for Nick Kostos. You Better You Bet, presented by Westwood One Sports. And I've known both of these ladies for a long, long time, but I have to admit this is going to be a broadcasting first. For Splash Sports, the promo is everywhere. College football survivor, NFL survivor. I get a little 2-for-1. Kelly Stewart, Ariel Epstein. Are we sure this? I'm gonna have to mediate and moderate the two of you guys together. I mean, this sounds like trouble. What's
It's hard to get a
ladies?
word in sometimes with us. It's okay.
Well, I was going to say, usually Ariel, I'm spending a lot of time with you. Kelly, I need to unpack this for a second before we get into what you guys have going on. Where would you say the Ariel Epstein level of swag has taken over the last 2 or 3 years? I feel like hanging with Kelly has enhanced the swag of Ariel. Is that fair to say?
We call it upgrading your life. Our broadcast coach Jill actually talks about this all the time. It's called elevating. You elevate who you're around, you elevate yourself, and you elevate other people with you. So people have drugged me from the tomboy trenches, and I'm getting Ariel. Ariel, you know what? I'll say this: Ariel has enhanced my life rather significantly as well. From the level of bouginess that I already had in Las Vegas, she has just
I totally
now
get it.
made
Ariel
into
brings up the
full-blown-
bougie, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay. We have a lot to unpack here with Splash Sports. I'll start with you, Prop Queen. Give us the deets. What's this contest we got going on with the NFL?
So it's the largest survivor ever in history, and it's for $21 million. I know that people are going to say, oh, but it's $1,000 buy-in. JJ, you know better than anybody listening. You are always the guy that goes to Vegas. You love this stuff. You're saving so much money not having to go to Vegas to sign up for contests. You can access the $21 million Survivor from your couch. And for anyone that's new to Survivor, I'll let Kelly talk about the rules.
Yeah, so you just have to pick the winner every single week, right? So easy, my mom can do it. That's the difference. We're not betting anything against the spread here. This is just picking straight up winners. They have 6 double pick weeks towards the end of the season. So if you make it through the first 8 weeks, congratulations to you. I think it's going to be really spicy. Last year I had a double pick contest that I entered over on Splash, and I got knocked out by the Raiders week 18. So I'm trying to really be a little more strategic this year and not get myself stuck with the Las Vegas Raiders for week 18, even though they were 5.5 point favorites. I heard you before I jumped on, JJ, and you mentioned the Tennessee Titans, and I was dead set. So I'm doing one of the $1,000 survivors with Ariel, our buddy CT, my boyfriend Brett. I'm doing another one with my buddy John Murray and some of his college buddies. And I have one for myself. And I thought, all right, I'm just going to do just do the thing. I'm going just lay the hammer. We are taking the Tennessee Titans week 1 over the Jets.
Wow,
That's
going
no longer gonna be the
bold
case.
right out of the gate. No messing around, Kelly.
I can't do it. I can't do it. If I have to trust Cam Ward over Geno Smith, which is just an unbearable choice, there's better options out there. I had almost convinced myself, and it's actually already locked in on Splash, because that's what I love. I can basically plan out my entire 18 weeks, save it, and then change it if I need to, right? So there's, like Ariel said, there's no proxy, there's no issues. Everything is kind of mapped out for me, but I really think I have to reevaluate my life decisions, because taking the Titans week 1 just made me physically ill when you mentioned that a second ago.
I totally get it. Okay, I'll give you a couple options. The obvious, the Chargers, who everybody's going to take against Arizona. Then with all this Deshaun Watson stuff, people are going to say, okay, there's no way in the world I'm taking the Browns week 1. I'll take Jacksonville. Can I throw another at you? The Falcons quarterback situation is a disgrace. Tua is physically shot. Michael Penix is not any good. Kelly, can I interest you in the Steelers week 1?
I don't know if you can. I'm not sure that I'm all in on Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Steelers. Okay, I have some serious questions here with this team. If you watch them in preseason, I have some, when Will Howard is out there just embarrassing my alma mater in preseason, I'm going, okay, maybe we have some issues here offensively. I will say this. I want to take the Lions, but I cannot burn the Lions week 1,
You
right?
can't, and that's for anyone that doesn't understand like Survivor. If you haven't done it yet because you haven't been able to go to Vegas and this is your first shot, you have to pick someone Thanksgiving. You have to save a team that you think is also going to do well Thanksgiving. So make sure you don't burn all your Thanksgiving teams by Thanksgiving, or you are going to be out.
That's in Vegas. So in Vegas, you would normally have to keep like the Packers and the Lions and the traditional Thanksgiving teams. Now you don't have to. So I could burn the Lions week 1 if I really got desperate. I just don't think that's smart strategy. You want to save the better teams. And then my partner, John Murray, will go, well, why would you want to save the better teams when ultimately any given week somebody could get hurt? What's the point of saving
Precisely.
the Bengals
Kelly, that's
if Joe
my
Burrow's
feeling
going
on
to be
it.
hurt by week 6?
Think about this. Kansas City last year. If you're one of those people saving Kansas City, hey, I'm going to save Kansas City. I'm going to save Kansas City. Mahomes blows out the ACL. Then at the end of the year, you're probably betting against and taking teams that are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. See, I'm the wrong person, though, Ariel, to ask about this Survivor strategy because I stink. I like to think that I have it all figured out. But then every year, I don't make it to Halloween. So, like, is there something I should be doing differently? I try to go with the safest bet. I try to go with a winner. What do I need to do differently here? I want to at least make it to Thanksgiving in this thing.
Yeah, I get it. And also the cool thing about what Splash is doing, just a little side note, is they have this marketplace now where if you do make it to Thanksgiving and your entry is worth something, you can put it up on the marketplace and you can kind of sell out of it. But that's a very new feature. What you could be doing differently, well, I guess number one is making sure that you're not just taking the quote unquote public darling of the week. Like if you're looking at someone and then you realize, oh my goodness, everybody else probably is on this. That's not helping you. But then I would also say, I like to look at reverse line movement a lot. And I think that when you see a line come out Sunday the week before and that line's moving against the favorite by Friday, Saturday, most people aren't tracking that. And I stay away if I see, okay, this team, I always go back to a couple years ago where the New England Patriots and the Cincinnati Bengals, everyone was on the Bengals in Survivor week 1. And the line moved 2 points against the Bengals since the week before. So clearly the books knew something and everyone lost on Survivor week 1 because they took the Bengals. So that's another way that I think just an extra thing you could look at. If the line's moving against the favorite, then you would probably want to stay away from them.
JJ, real quick, I want to interject on something that Ariel said that I find to be rather interesting. I've never really thought about this before, but now that it makes a lot more sense. Because Vegas has such an early cutoff time on Saturday afternoon with all the proxies and then the contest cutoff time, Splash, you can change your pick right up until kickoff. So you have almost a full 24 hours to sit there and say, okay, well, here's what we know. We know that this quarterback is playing. We do know that this line has moved 1.5 points against this team. And oh, by the way, we know who the most popular pick in the Vegas contest now is. I lost, in fact, on a Friday night. I was in Pittsburgh having dinner, Marco D'Angelo's birthday, me, Johnny Detroit, Bobby the bookie. We're having a great time at dinner. I say, you know what? I don't want to drink too much tonight. Forget to put in our Survivor pick, right? I'm going West Coast to East Coast, lots of different things in play. And I say, we're taking the Steelers. 9.5 point favorites over the Detroit Lions. This is going to make the game so much fun tomorrow. And as we're sitting at dinner, Big Ben is announced out. And I called my friend, because remember, I owned the proxy service at the time. I called my friend Erin. I said, Erin, have you put in my Survivor pick yet? And she goes, yeah, I just put it in. Why? And I go, Big Ben is out. And the game ended in a tie. It was the worst football game I've ever been to in my life. Overtime tie. Pain and suffering. And so that's why I think that there is really a much larger advantage to the having almost full 24 hours to play in the Splash contest.
Yeah, injuries and everything too.
Week 1 is going to be here before you know it. And I'm sure the two of you gals have been talking about this season ad nauseum, the win totals, the futures. You know how it is. Like you're literally doing this in the springtime. Football's 24/7, 365, the whole deal. Kelly, what is your favorite NFL take you have one way or another for the season?
I am really, really down on a couple of teams this year. And I mean miserably down. And I'm going to have a lot of people hate me for this. But I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings under 8.5 wins. We all know that this is one of the toughest divisions in football. The Detroit Lions, I do ultimately think, will win this division, though I will say I think that Green Bay will be neck and neck with them, which means somebody has to take a step back. And I'm not sure it's Chicago. Typically, I take the underseason win total in Chicago and have done so since I started betting in 2008. I think I've lost 3 of those years. But I like Ben Johnson. I do think that the Vikings are actually going to be the team that ends up at the bottom of the pile there. And here's the reality. Yes, Sam Darnold did just win a Super Bowl. So when I say this list of quarterbacks, I don't want to hear his name. But the argument is going to be, look, the Vikings won 9 games, Kelly, every single season with awful quarterbacks. How much worse can Kyler Murray be? 9, if you will. J.J. McCarthy is no longer going to be the starter. Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer. I will say this, Kyler Murray has a really low bar to clear. I just don't think that there's much of a drop-off between him and J.J. McCarthy. I was not impressed with Murray's last several seasons, but I think there's more than it's just the Cardinals organization being the problem. We can blame it on that all we want. Yes, they want to say Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer and he takes his offense very seriously from timing, and maybe he can teach Kyler Murray something. I just don't think he's going to be able to teach it to him right now. And I have to say, the defense going to really miss Jonathan Grenard and Javon Hargrave. This is going to be one of those kind of Brian Flores' aggressive years that he tries to push the pedal. The problem is he doesn't have the talent. I think the Vikings under 8.5 wins is the way to go.
I agree with that play. You want to know why, Kelly? I'm out of the Kyler Murray business. I've bet him over each of the last 2 years with the Arizona Cardinals. Been there, done that. Division too good. Lions going to win double-digit games. Respect for the Packers. Johnson, Williams, the whole deal. I'm with you. I would go under on Minnesota. Ariel, do you have a plant the flag NFL take for the season?
Yeah, I am very down on the running back for the Bengals, Chase Brown, this year. So I'm going to go under 825.5 rushing yards. You kind of have to go one or the other. You're going to bet against this offensive line that has never gotten better in Cincinnati. You either got to fade Joe Burrow or you're going to fade the running back. But you can't really fade both, because if Joe Burrow stays healthy, then it hurts Chase Brown. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, it helps Chase Brown. I'm going to bet that Joe Burrow stays healthy, but Chase Brown has a down year, because they're going to be playing in a lot of tight games. You look at all the spreads for Cincinnati, it's all within a possession. That means Chase Brown's not getting the ball much in the second half if the Bengals are playing in close games or from behind. But also that offensive line, all they did was add rookies, Brian Parker, Connor Lew. That was it. So when your primary 5 starting linemen on the field last year, running backs averaged just about 1.5 yards per contact per attempt, and yards before contact per attempt. That's a lot of words. But Warren Sharp actually ranked the O-line 28.
Doesn't sound fun.
No. But you're dealing with the running back that's very, he's big, but he's not a boom kind of guy. Like, he's not going to get a lot like McCaffrey and Gibbs that are able to just go for 15 plus yards. He ranked actually in the bottom half of running backs last year in running backs that broke open for 15 plus rushing yards on one attempt. So I'm going to go with the under on rushing yards for Chase Brown this year overall in the season.
You're not going to like this, prop queen. I love the Bengals this season. And I know famous last words. I can sit it to you. Kelly's shaking her head. You're rolling your eyes. Kelly, I have to be fair on this. Kelly, I didn't like them last year. I bet them under. 2 years ago, they were incredibly frustrating to bet, and I rolled the roller coaster. No futures. Kelly, that schedule is easy. The defense is going to be better, and Burrow's a stud. They're not getting a double-digit wins.
Yeah, but that's just so easy. Vegas just marched out a 9.5, and they handed it to you on a silver platter. Please, JJ, bet the Bengals to win 10 games. All I'm saying is I agree with Ariel. This offensive line is a disaster, and you know who it's a real disaster for? Joe Burrow. Hopefully, for the Bengals fans' sake, he can stay upright. I did not bet their season win total under. You can only bet so many unders, and I bet 4 of them. So the reality is you eventually gotta say, okay, some of these teams are gonna go over their total. I don't know what to make of Ariel Epstein's Ravens in that division. I want to say that they're going to win the division. I want to say that they're going to be representing the AFC in
Someone
the
asked
big
me
game.
online.
How
and
many
they said,
times can we keep doing this with the Ravens and the
I
Bills,
know.
girls?
That's what I mean. How many times can I keep doing it? I can't. I love
The
Lamar
Ravens
Jackson.
are going to lose in the divisional round of the playoffs again. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, that's fine. They can lose, but I do think they'll win that division. And again, I mentioned I was down on Pittsburgh, JJ. I really am. I don't love Mike McCarthy. I do love Aaron Rodgers, but he and I are the same age, and I know how it feels to get out of bed in the morning, and I don't get hit by 250-pound linebackers.
But you don't do ayahuasca.
No, I don't. But I do all the other stuff, the red light therapy and all of the other magnesium soaks and the sauna and all that stuff. Yeah, I do all that too, besides the ayahuasca. But I would like to think, JJ, that the Bengals come in second place in this division and win 10 games. I think it's going to be a rock fight for the bottom between the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Browns.
Okay.
And hopefully Lamar stays
I have
healthy.
three teams that I'm trying to figure out between now and the start of the year who I'm picking in the AFC to win the conference. The Bengals will be one of those teams. The other two, Houston Texans, love the defense, don't love the quarterback. Denver Broncos, but in a very, very tough division. Out of those three, you would steer me where?
Oh, and you know Kelly is a Broncos fan. And
I was going to say, Kelly, I know your answer. That's why I teed it up to you.
I do love Houston's defense at 18-1. CJ Stroud scares the crap out of me, but I do like that they just went for Kayshon Boutte, so it looks like they're trying to add to losing their rookie. They're trying to keep pieces around Stroud. The reason I'm hesitant on the Broncos is only because of the uncertainty with their quarterback position and Bo Nix's health. How healthy is he? Is he going to stay healthy? Those are the questions I still need to see through the first couple weeks of the season before I could put any money on Denver. So I would say Houston, you definitely would sell me just because defenses win championships.
Feels like, Kelly, you're in on the Texans, too. You like the Texans.
I don't disagree with Ariel's synopsis of the Denver Broncos. Adding Jalen Waddle is going to be great. They have a ton of stud wide receivers. I think that this team absolutely could win the AFC West and get themselves back in deep into the playoffs. But again, coming off an injury like that is concerning. Yes, Bo Nix, by all intents and purposes, everything I've heard is going to be 100%. How do you ever come back, though, from an injury like that and become 100%? And now who's your backup quarterback? Jared Stidham? Come on. I don't have faith. This is it. That's the one thing I do love about the Ravens. Let me make this full circle. Is that for years, even if Lamar wasn't healthy, when you had Tyler Huntley, you had a plug and play Lamar clone, for lack of better words. Maybe he wasn't quite as good as the original, but he was good.
He could do it with the Ravens. He didn't do it with my team. When he plugged for Tua, he didn't exactly look like Lamar. Just saying. But with the Ravens, I get your point, Kelly.
He always covers. He always covers.
That's all I'm saying. And I don't feel like the Broncos have that. And most 99% of NFL teams don't have that luxury. But to be able to have a couple of key players that the backup is almost as good as the starter, those are the types of teams I'm looking for. I don't think it's the Patriots this year. I mean, even Vrabel's making excuses about the depth of their roster right now. I mean, Josh Allen goes down for the Bills. See you later. There's your season. Joe Burrow, we just talked about the Bengals. He goes down, see your season. No matter who tries to come in and plug and play, they may win a game or two. Davis Mills, not going to lie. That makes me like the Texans just a little bit more. Davis Mills, he did okay. He does okay. He's not CJ Stroud, but is he serviceable in that offense? He sure is.
Okay, Kelly, I've never done a college football survivor pool. This is going to be the first year I've ever done one.
Oh boy.
What's my strategy here? No. I need help. I'm deferring to Miss College Football here. Ariel, this is Kelly's bread and butter. This is her baby. How do I stay in this thing at least to Halloween, Kelly? What do I got to do?
Well, they're double picks because I realized the first year we made it way too easy. And I think we had like 36 people split the pot. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I was not one of those people. I can't remember who I went out with 2 or 3 years ago, but it was frustrating and I'll leave it at that. This year, we are guaranteeing $200,000, which is absolutely bananas. So it's the largest one that we've ever done. Again, 2 picks per week. You just got to pick them straight up. Big 10, Big 12, SEC. Yes, I purposely left out the ACC. Last year, it made a lot of sense. prior to me. And then when we saw how crappy the ACC was, everybody else said, okay, fine. Now you got to pick between basically 21 and 30 games, depending on the week. And that's because we said, all right, if they're not playing an FBS team, you don't get to pick them. You don't get to pick a 51-point favorite. So again, I put some stipulations in there. But the reality is you've got to pick teams that you think from a situational standpoint aren't going to lose the game. I have no idea how sometimes these teams lose. Last year, we saw Alabama lose to FSU. I still have no idea how they lost that game as a double-digit road favorite. But I can tell you this, I'm not taking road teams. I'm never taking road teams in college football or NFL Survivor. Like, I almost automatically have to just say enough. I think what you're looking for is not to be taking rivalry games either. That rivalry week is so tough because even if you have a 5-7 Auburn team who may beat Alabama to make a crappy bowl, it doesn't matter. That Alabama game is their bowl game. That game matters to that team so much. Doesn't mean they're going to win. No, of course not. But you got to just kind of be really selective here. I haven't even looked at the week one slate yet because I am so knee deep in NFL and college football against the spread. If I had to say, all right, I'm going to definitively take two teams. Let me look and see here. Who makes a lot of sense. Illinois to beat UAB is going to be a popular pick. Michigan State to beat Toledo is going to be a popular pick. Probably shouldn't use Alabama over East Carolina, but people will. Penn State over Marshall. I want to say right now you want to be using teams you're not going to be using later on. Why not take South Carolina over Kent State? Am I going to use South Carolina throughout the season? Maybe, but that's definitely the best option to use them. Notre Dame over Wisconsin is going to be very popular, I have a feeling. Florida over Florida Atlantic. I want to take some mid-tier team like Mississippi State and then never have to even think about using them again for the rest of the season.
See, I like the sound of this. This is how I'm going to try to play it. Hopefully we can make it a Halloween. I'll have a positive report back for the gals when we do this again next year. Before we say goodbye, I need your take, both of you. I've made one NFL bet for week one. Hopefully I get a yay from both of you. Ariel, okay. I took the Texans laying the point against the Bills. I absolutely love them in week one. I've already bet it.
Oof. I mean, now it's flipped. I'm seeing the Texans catching points now. I haven't even looked at game by game of week one, so I would say I am not high on the Bills this year. I am very concerned about the weapons around Josh Allen. Defensively, this team has never lived up to its expectations. So I don't hate it for being Houston at home. The only thing I'd be afraid of is if you got -1.5. Why the hell are you not getting a +1.5, JJ?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Because I wasn't thinking about it. That's why.
It's I'm looking at the odds screen right now. It's still -1 at BetMGM. It's +1.5 at all the square shops. A couple of Vegas sharp shops also -1. Golly, I'm not high on the Bills this year. I'm not. I'll say that. I bet their season win total under. That was one of the other ones that I did bet. Woo! I don't know if I want to bet against them early. I'm more concerned about how the Bills are going to finish down the stretch than how they're going to start. And this is a Texans team that I think is getting a lot of love now. As you just mentioned, adding Kayshon Boutte into the mix sure makes that team look like an attractive week one. I feel like there might just be better value on the board that doesn't involve taking the Jets or Tennessee. Like, the reality is you don't want to be laying some of these points with some of these teams. Everybody's going to tease Jacksonville. Everybody is going to tease up Houston, which I probably will as well. Everybody's going to tease up Carolina. There's going to be a lot of spots this week one because you have to remember these lines have been out forever.
That they have. Ladies, ton of fun. Could chat all day. We'll be in Vegas next week signing up for my donation for the Circa contest, Kelly, as I like to say every single year. And Prom Queen, I need to meet your dog. It's long overdue.
I know, and I have to meet your daughter, so we'll have to arrange.
We'll have to even that out. Fair is fair. Kelly in Vegas, Ariel Epstein, Splash Sports. You guys, rock stars. Good luck with the new show. We'll be watching. We'll be listening. Take care, all right?
Thanks, JJ.
Thanks, JJ.
A lot more coming your way, including a revisit of the teams I was buying and selling in July. Do I feel better about a case? Am I audibling out of a pick? We'll have some fun with that next. You better you bet. JJ and for Kostos right here, Westwood One Sports.
Shotgun. Jackson. Up high. Intercepted. Picked off by Joey Porter Jr.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
The Defensive Player of the Week, sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed services, veterans, and their families. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission. And yeah, that's a highlight from Joey Porter last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like father, like son. His dad was an outstanding linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joey Porter Jr. has turned into a very good corner and now wants to get paid. Steelers going to have their hands full in that AFC North. I know they won the division a year ago. Aaron Rodgers back for another year, but the defense is going to have to be the strength of the team. Got to make sure you get this Porter Jr. situation figured out before the start of the year as you try to chase down a Baltimore team with a new head coach that's going to have high hopes. They're basically atop the board, the second, third, depending on where you may shop around to go win the Super Bowl. And then a Cincinnati team that I am very much on board with, despite the hesitation that I got from the gals who were just with us, Ariel Epstein and the great Kelly in Vegas. This segment is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Now, full disclosure, I filled in for Nick. It was a Tuesday in July. I don't remember when. It might have been before the All-Star break in baseball. It might have been. It was right before the All-Star break in baseball because the timeline of my life is basically now like the birth of my child, the great Ellie, May 10th, 2025. Like I feel like everything now triggers from that. But then there is also now this turf toe injury that I had playing in SNY softball back in mid-July. And I feel like my entire summer has just been immersed in like rehab and icing my foot and belly aching about my injury and having my wife basically want to divorce me like 10 zillion times every time I mention that my foot has been killing me. Sorry, honey, if you're listening right now. Thankfully, she's in the other room. But timeline, it was before the All-Star break. And why do I bring all of this up? The reason I bring all of this up is because at that particular point in the year, I wanted to do a buy and sell segment on teams that I thought I'd be buying and teams that I thought I'd be selling in this 2026 NFL year. And from a buy perspective, the three teams I gave out in July were as follows: the Dallas Cowboys, the New Orleans Saints, and the Tennessee Titans. I am still supremely confident in two of those teams that I mentioned. I have Dallas 10 zillion ways to win the division. I'm betting them over wins. I'm even sprinkling a little Dak Prescott MVP bets at 14-1. Like, I just think their offense is going to be super stupendous. I'm buying regression from the Eagles. There's no way in the world the Cowboys defense can be as bad as it was a year ago. And I think they reek of like an 11-ish win team that will probably lose in the playoffs in soul-crushing fashion, but that's not my concern. I think they're going to have a big regular season. The New Orleans Saints are going to win the NFC South. I know they're not in love with this injury now. Jordan Tyson is going to be out for some time. Not ideal, but I still think there's enough there for Shook. Love what I saw from him over the final 2 months of the year, and I think the defense is better than people think. And Kellen Moore can coach. And the rest of the division is just hot garbage. Has anybody seen the Atlanta quarterback situation and they lose pass rushers? I was in the Tua business each of the last 5 years, and I defended the guy every which way imaginable. He's cooked. Can't move, can't throw, can't play. And if Michael Penix is your alternative, not exactly jumping for joy. Not in love with the Carolina Panthers, despite, hey, they're tough on the trenches. I'll give them that. Not the biggest Bryce Young guy. Weaknesses in the back half of that defense. Playing a first-place schedule. Not in love with Carolina. And I think the bottom falls out for Tampa Bay. Between Bowles, the last year of Baker, they've lost a lot of key veterans that have been glue guys for that organization. I'm out on Tampa Bay this year. So as far as like my buys, feel good about the Saints, feel good about the Cowboys, feel hideous about the Titans. Like it might have been, a happy hour Friday night for me in July where I was like, you know what? You get one of those free bets they give us over at BetMGM. We'll be throwing on the Titans 8-1 to win a division. Cam Ward year 2. Do we love anybody in the AFC South? And then the more and more I've thought about it, I'm like, no. Titans might be better, might be improved, but it's asking to me too much of Cam Ward in his second year with all of the questions and reservations about his playmakers and his inaccuracies and just his overall playing style to say, yeah, he's going to go and win a division that had 2 playoff teams a year ago and a team that may very well might have been a playoff team if Daniel Jones didn't get injured, the Indianapolis Colts. I'd back off of that one if I'm you. Cowboys, all in. Saints, all in. Titans out. Like the more and more I've thought about it, I'm like, hold on a second. Do I really want to be fading the Houston Texans in the AFC South? And the answer to that question is no, I don't. Texans are going to win that division. I think the Texans have an excellent chance to go and get to and win a Super Bowl if the quarterback is up to standard. Now, the teams that I was selling, if we go back to our conversation in July, I gave out 3. One of them, nothing's changed. That would be the New England Patriots. And I know A.J. Brown is there, and I know Romeo Doubs is there, and I know Mike Vrabel knows how to coach, and Drake May was the runner-up for the MVP, and I have questions about the Buffalo Bills. The problem is I have questions about the New England Patriots. Are they going to be able to keep Drake May upright? Like, has anybody watched Will Campbell try to play left tackle? It's not pretty. Morgan Moses is a zillion years old. You telling me you're getting 15, 16 games out of your 2 tackles and you're going to get good play out of it? Like, that's a major buyer beware. Super Bowl hangover. It's real. It's spectacular. Don't ignore it. So nothing's changed for me with the Patriots. Nothing has also changed for me with the Washington Commanders because I can't trust Jane Daniels to stay healthy. I'm not a Dan Quinn believer. I do think despite the hype that the Giants have gotten this preseason, they're going to be improved. How much improved remains to be seen. And listen, the Eagles and the Cowboys have pedigree. So out on Washington. The team that I'm getting some hesitation on, I wouldn't say I'm out on them yet, the Chicago Bears. And everything I believe about their defense is 1,000% true. I think it's a hideous, hideous defense. Dennis Allen did miracles last year in forcing all those turnovers and coaching them up the way that he did. But I'm not a believer in the Bears defense. But you know what I am a believer in? And this is what scares me. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Because sometimes that partnership just takes you to another level as a team. Like the oozing confidence of Ben Johnson saying a couple weeks ago, we're going to be the highest scoring offense in the league. Like, I love that. And it might have to be if Chicago's going to go and be a playoff team. Like, Caleb, in all honesty, for Chicago, when you consider the turnover bounce of the ball that they got a year ago, and now all of a sudden they got to go and play a first place schedule, and the NFC North is loaded and tough to begin with, they're going to need that next step out of Caleb to go and get back to the postseason. But out of the 3 I gave out there, that's the one to me that, like, I have the least confidence in because it's like, man, am I sure that I really want to bet against Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams from like a wins perspective and a playoff perspective? That out of those 3 is giving me the most cold feet. Now, when we come back, we'll wrap up this You Better You Bet with an absolute bang. We will run through not only the Major League Baseball card and find a couple of winners for you to send you on your way. I am going to unveil my 3 favorite overbets, 3 favorite underbets for the 2026 season, and maybe I'll sprinkle in a prop or 2 along the way. JJ and for Kostos right here. So You Better You Bet, presented by Westwood One Sports. Thanks to our friends over at BetMGM.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Home stretch. You better you bet. John Jastremski in for Nick Kostos. Westwood One Sports presented by BetMGM. Turn your baseball predictions into bigger potential payouts with today's MLB Parlay Boost token. Whether you're backing multiple game winners, stacking player props, or building a same game parlay, your MLB Parlay Boost token helps you get even more out of every winning ticket. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly. Speaking of gambling responsibly, I'm going to give you a couple of plays that I like on this fine Tuesday in Major League Baseball. This could be a potential playoff preview. Dodgers taking on the Braves in Atlanta. Glasnow on the mound. And listen, I hate betting on this guy, Elder, because after the first 2 months of the year, he's been atrocious, and I can't trust him. And he's had a lot of these outings where he's been non-competitive. ERA's now creeping close to 4. I just like the idea of fading a guy coming back off an injury, because they're not like, this is build-up time for Tyler Glasnow. I know his numbers are really impressive, but like this is not peak Tyler Glasnow that you're going to see at some point in time. Like I think you can take advantage of that. I'm going to fade him here in this spot. I'm going to take the Braves and their lineup that hits the fastball, that hunts the fastball at plus money at a really good price to go and take down the Dodgers, who might be a little bit overvalued here. So I, for one, am going to fade Glasnow. I like the sound of this. I feel good about this. This is a guy we have not seen in forever, going back to early May, for goodness sakes. So fade Glasnow. Braves, play number 1. Play number 2. Marlins lost an excruciating game to the Red Sox yesterday. Thought about taking them. Sometimes the best bets are the ones you don't make. Took the Miami Marlins at plus 135 on BetMGM. Total in that game is insanely low. So I'll be on the Marlins to go and take care of the Red Sox. Peyton Tully on the mound has been great for Boston, but low scoring, tight game. Give me the plus money. Last but not least, total. Yankees, Astros, 8.5. I think we're going to have runs in the Bronx. Will Warren is not going deep into games. He's got an ERA that's close to 4.5. The Astros should be able to go and get to him. And the Yankee lineup has been swinging the bat a little bit better over their last few games. So let's take an over. Yankees, Astros at 8.5. We're taking the Marlins at plus money. We are taking the Atlanta Braves at plus money. Now, before we say goodbye, I want to make sure these are on record, and you can either play or fade accordingly. Hopefully you're going to play. Hopefully you're going to side with the fact that my futures in football last year actually were pretty solid. Baseball, it's going to be a mixed bag. Like, they've either been really, really good, or they've been like non-competitive. Like, I'll give you one that I had that's looking pretty good right now. Cleveland Guardians is an under. Chicago White Sox is an over. You feel good about those. Then the Orioles over, non-competitive. Big fat loser. Big fat loser. So, the idea is to have as many of these alive and well as you can going into the final month of the year. Now, I'm going to give you 2 overs, and then I'm going to give you a division winner, and then I'm going to give you a couple unders. Bengals, 10-plus regular season games. Look at the schedule. You're betting on the health of Joe Burrow. I'm looking at Cincinnati's defense. Think it will be improved. Imanari, Lawrence, easier schedule, and a quarterback that's as good as anybody when he plays. I'll bank on that schedule and better health from Burrow, and I think Cincinnati gets back to the playoffs, which, believe it or not, is a place they have not been going all the way back to 2022. It's been a long time coming for the Bengals. Big year, Joe Burrow said it himself. 10-plus regular season wins. I'll lay the juice. You got to lay 155 on this. I think it's juice worth laying. Cincinnati's getting to 10 wins. Tell you another team that's getting to 10 wins. The Los Angeles Chargers. Now, their win total is at 9.5. It's at minus 130. That team is built to win regular season games. That's what they do under Jim Harbaugh. They're going to be incredibly well coached. The offense should look more dynamic with Mike McDaniel at the helm. And there's some concern about what the defense will look like without Jesse Minter. But one thing I have to give Jim Harbaugh a ton of credit for, he's done a marvelous job of being able to build a staff. That's kind of been a good positive trait of the Harbaughs over the years. They find quality coordinators. You want to tell me John Harbaugh had to churn through quite a few in Baltimore? Fine, but he hired Mike Macdonald. I think we'd all agree Mike Macdonald can coach. As an example. Jesse Minter, I believe, is going to be a really good coach in Baltimore. He was on the Jim staff. So the point being is, I feel good about coordinator choices out of the Harbaughs. So I think they'll be able to replace Minter and they'll be okay there. That's a team that I have questions about in January. But from September to December, take them. On them. Chargers, 10-plus wins. The last one I'm going to give you, we're doubling down on this. The New Orleans Saints are winning the NFC South. In Shook and in Kellen Moore, we trust. And it's also a fade of the other three hot garbage teams that you're going to find in the division. And I tread lightly in putting Carolina in this category because I do like them a little bit more than Tampa. And I definitely like them a lot more than the Atlanta Falcons. So that's how we're going to pay it forward as far as your overs are concerned for the season. Now, on the negative side of things, this is still a plus money bet. Patriots to miss the playoffs. Shaky line. Super Bowl hangover, plus 172. Sign me up right now for the Patriots at plus 172 to go and miss the postseason. Feeling really, really good about that. You want an under? I'll give you an under. Jacksonville Jaguars. First place schedule. Questions still to me about Lawrence. Division, going to be improved. Texans are good. Colts get Jones back. Titans are going to be spunkier. And the books are giving you 8.5 as a total for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That, my friends, should tell you something. And then the last team I'd be looking to sell. Mentioned Joey Porter Jr. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had a winning record every single year for forever. Mid-2000s the last time you're talking about a Steeler team with a losing season. It will happen. Bengals and Ravens, very, very good. First place schedule, not ideal. Give me the Steelers. Under. Sorry, Mike McCarthy. And sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Not getting a 9. That's going to do it for me. Great job. The entire crew. Tremendous. Kenny, Laura, Tyler, Mike, Billy Z, the whole crew. Thanks for letting me fill in. JJ out. Enjoy the rest of this fine Tuesday. And remember, all of those future bets are coming home to roost. It is going to be a monster season for your boy. I can taste it. I can smell it. I am willing it into existence. And hopefully I'm not willing in a donation to the Circuit contest that I'll be signing up for in Vegas on Monday and Tuesday. JJ out. Be good, everybody. Enjoy your day.